Well, Gaurav, it's nice to see you again. I trust you're keeping well.
All is well, Rodney. How are you? Hope you're well too.
Very good, thanks. Very, very good. So, Gaurav, multinational investors have always been mindful of the fact that there are transfer taxes in India. And there was a very famous case a number of years ago, the Vodafone case, that a lot of people look back to. Can you tell me a bit about that case?
Rodney, I think there are very few judicial pronouncements in history which are tax related and can, shake the whole world of business. Vodafone case actually, to give you a brief background, Vodafone acquired a business of another telecom operator in India, and the acquisition happened at an overseas level. So it didn't happen at the India level; it happened 3 or 4 levels up. And the whole debate was whether that was subject to capital gains tax in India. At that point in time when this happened, there was no law where an indirect transfer of a capital asset in India could be subject to tax. And the Indian Supreme Court in 2012, early 2012, actually gave a ruling in favor of the taxpayer, in favor of Vodafone. But at that point in a very, very significant development in the budget of 2012, the Indian government actually did a U-turn and brought in a retrospective amendment, which said that from the beginning of the Income Tax Act in 1961, the intention of the legislature always was to tax such kind of indirect transfers. Now that led to again these cases. Vodafone case was one, but there were 16 other cases which were picked up by the government, and notices were sent and recovery proceedings initiated against those companies. And most of these cases actually went into arbitration. And recently, one of those companies won the international arbitration in the global courts. So India could have gone and appealed against it, but instead there have been recent changes in the law that the government has proposed.
And what were those changes, Gaurav?
So the government's always been, especially from 2014, has been saying that they will not bring in any retrospective amendments. This was the only one retrospective amendment which remained in the law, so as to speak, which was not in the favor which was in the favor of the revenue, and therefore they've now decided that they're going to reverse that legislative amendment and make it prospective. But it comes with a rider. The rider is that the taxpayers, the 17 taxpayers who are involved here, would take back their appeals at whatever forum stage that they are, which includes international arbitration. And then all the tax liabilities and penalty exposures will be waived off. The only, I would say, one point that is not going in a positive direction, at least as how we see it as tax advisors, is that some part of that tax bill was already paid by the taxpayers, and ideally there should have been an interest element of it when they get their money back. But that has been clarified that no interest will be paid on this money. So it's a positive development. At least the government has come to shake hands and say that let's bid goodbye to this infamous situation, and which created a lot of pain points with the investors, the potential investors in the country, because this case was being talked about on a very, very regular basis.
Well, that sounds like a very positive development, and certainly in terms of certainty, whether for financial statement purposes, for those that accrued potential liabilities, or for those that actually paid tax. What do you take away from this positive development, Gaurav?
So Rodney, whether it's going to have a positive impact on the investment flows in the country, time will only tell. But really, if you move forward 2 or 3 years, and then if you see a new investor coming in, would come in with a fresh perspective and without any retrospective amendments sitting in the books and all these kind of issues being taken care of, I see it as a positive move going forward. Though whatever damage had to happen has already happened, but at least it's damage control, and moving in the right direction. And the whole philosophy. And whenever I meet with global tax directors, the only thing that they say is that when they look at their list of litigation, it's predominantly India and a couple of other countries, and it's not the rest of the world. I think that needs to change. That list needs to change, and this will be a very positive direction, a step in that direction.
Well, it's got to be good news for investors having certainty about will there be retroactive law changes or not. So a very positive development. Well, that's fascinating. Thank you very much for your time. It'll be interesting to see how this continues to unfold.
Thank you, Rodney. Have a great weekend.